Jokic has a title. Giannis has a title. Giannis has a better path to getting another title than Jokic does.
I disagree.
OKC is very young and very good, and those players, when you compare them to Boston, they're just as good or better. So it's like, and they're really young and they're loaded, just like Boston, but they're all 5 to 6, 7 years younger. Denver's not overcoming that. They're not overcoming that. I don't think they're better than the Lakers within the next 3 years at all.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I don't think Milwaukee's all that good.
Milwaukee,
and their next best player is Dame, who's also very old.
Yeah, but Milwaukee has, number one, they have shown the propensity to make moves and get better. Boston, to my point, can be had. I don't think OKC will be able to be had down the line.
I don't think he'll ever be the MVP because of what Jokic is doing, and I think as his career progresses, granted that he stays with Boston, which I don't see any reason he wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
Their end goal is to be the last one standing, and they certainly have the infrastructure to keep doing that as time goes along. So
for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And and we talked about Tatum. The MVP thing, what's funny is SGA is probably going to win it this year.
I don't know, man.
I know
what
Jokic's numbers.
What Jokic is doing is just absolutely incredible.
The problem with the SGA, I will put a considerable amount of money that he's going to win it, because he could have won it theoretically last year. And with them being the number one seed again and his numbers being slightly better, they're going to give it to him. Now, that being said, Jokic's numbers are nuts, but his team has been relatively healthy all year. And
have they, though? Aaron Gordon's been out.
That's relatively. like compared to other teams where stars are out for months. You know what I mean? That's why I say relatively. And whatever, they haven't reached the heights that OKC has had. The Lakers have beat them in big spots. Like that's going to matter in MVP now, but that's not my main point. My main point is I never see Tatum winning the MVP. It's not just about this year. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see him ever winning the MVP.
Yeah,
and I think you have to have that to be a face of the league.
So Tatum's his self-described mantra is like Kobe. And how many MVPs did Kobe win? One. Right. And nothing against Tatum. Tatum is going to be a historically great player, but he's also playing in the same era as Jokic. Playing in the same era as Embiid, SGA, and I don't know that because his team is so strong, I don't know that that's going to convince to convince voters to vote for him.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, because again, his numbers are good, but Jokic's numbers are like video game numbers.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And SGA averages 32, 33 points a game.
Yeah, Tatum's never had a ridiculous statistical season. It's always excellent, but it's never one of those seasons that you're like, holy crap. And honestly, I mean, he's not an old player by any means, but I don't think there's an expectation that suddenly changes in terms of his statistical output, particularly being part of a good team. That it's not necessary that he do all that. And so I think he's never going to give you that crazy statistical season that's just like, we have to decorate this, we have to honor this. And then the Celtics, the general perception is they are a strong, balanced team that he leads along with Jaylen Brown. That's not really good for MVP stuff.
Yeah, and the narrative, if you remember at the end of last season, the narrative was Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics. He was a
massive proponent of that.
Which, I mean, I will politely disagree. Like, the glaring difference in Jaylen Brown's game is he still can't dribble with his left hand, but he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I'll say this. Tatum is the better player. Brown had a better season. And
yeah,
that's
he won
what,
the Finals MVP.
And that's what he won the Finals MVP. He won playoffs MVP. What the Larry Bird thing.
Jaylen Brown changed the course
and he
of
was the
NBA history.
And he was the better player in the regular season too. That's what that's what blinded me. But Jason Tatum is the better player.
Jaylen Brown changed the course of NBA history.
With what?
The finals performance.
Oh yeah.
The Mavericks saw the finals performance and decided they don't want to pay Luka $365 million. And quite frankly, if you were watching both of those guys play for the first time, or if you were watching that series for the first time, you would think that Jaylen Brown is the best player on the planet with the way that he played.
He was on one, man. He was fucking phenomenal. So yeah, that's why I was on that trade. I mean, Jaylen Brown was insane last year, the entire season too, from start to all the way to the finish. And it's not been that way this season. So it'd be idiotic for me to say to stay on that train.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, last year it was nuts. It was nuts.
I would also say though too, it's like we talk about Jason Tatum not being an MVP and probably not ever getting that. There's also there's never been a strong sentiment that he's at any moment in time the best basketball player in the world.
And you need that.
You kind of need that feeling.
Top 3,
and he's never,
top something.
He's never generated that belief.
I think for at least the next 5 to 6 years, like as long as Jokic is playing, SGA is going to be in that conversation. You have Anthony Edwards. Also, you could have Cooper Flagg being in that same regard.
And
Giannis.
And a healthy Wemby.
Yeah, and then Wemby.
Well, I think the window is kind of closing on Giannis. Not to say that he's going to fall off the planet, but I don't. I mean, he kind of had his moment, and I don't think he's necessarily getting that moment back. Like, he was essentially kind of overtaken by Jokic in that best player in the planet discussion. I don't think he gets it back.
Yeah, I think the consensus, and this was, I don't know if you guys watched that Court of Gold doc.
Yes.
Yeah, the consensus was like, hey, Jokic right now is the best player on the planet.
I'm going to tell you something about that, though. And I guess I've always been a guy that when everybody's super high on Jokic, I try to knock because of the Embiid factor. But Jokic has a title. Giannis has a title. Giannis has a better path to getting another title than Jokic does.
I disagree.
Yeah, Denver, I don't see how, like, Boston is a really good team, right? But Porzingis is on his way out. Horford is on his way out. Like Drew Holiday, we've seen like he's on the other side of the hill. Like those guys, they have a while together, but it's those the main.
I would say Porzingis has a few good years left. Obviously,
when you say a few good years, you have to decide what in the season when his patch of good games are going to come, because he's going to have a stretch of games where he's out every single season.
Right.
But hold on, let me finish my thought really quick.
We'll get to it, yeah.
Because OKC is very young and very good, and those players, when you compare them to Boston, they're just as good or better. So it's like, and they're fucking really young and they're loaded, just like Boston, but they're all 5 to 6, 7 years younger. Denver is not overcoming that. They're not overcoming that. I don't think they're better than the Lakers within the next 3 years at all.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I don't think Milwaukee's all that good.
Milwaukee,
and their next best player is Dame, who's also very old.
Yeah, but Milwaukee has, number one, they have shown the propensity to make moves and get better. Boston, to my point, can be had. I don't think OKC will be able to be had down the line.
But even if they have Boston, they've got to get OKC to win a title.
Yeah. But getting there is like the fucking, that's the main thing. Get there. Yes. No. Because you have to be in the fight to win it. Like I don't think Denver has a chance to get to the title. You understand? I think Milwaukee has a chance to get to the title within the next 5 years.
Yeah, I don't at all.
You don't?
No, not close.
And you know, it's crazy that we're even putting it in these terms, but organizationally, I don't know if any of the three places. I think Milwaukee may be the best organization willing to spend We don't know about Boston yet because they're going to have they're going to have new owners, and this ownership group was willing to spend, and they're selling it at an all-time high. And we don't know what is going to be of this ownership group. And then Denver, like, if you pay close enough attention, like, they didn't re-sign KCP and
Bruce Brown.
Yeah, Bruce Brown.
You know what I mean?
Michael Malone, their coach, has been adamant, like, hey, we need to spend some money to keep Jokic and Murray while they're in their prime. We need to be as competitive as we can while we have these guys. And playing some of these young guys just isn't going to get it done. So I do believe this year, though, if they have the right matchups, they can get to an NBA Finals. I don't know if they can beat Boston in a 7-game series. But yeah, I do think that after this year, they're going to have to make a move to fortify their roster. Otherwise, you're right. Like, Jokic may not win another title.
But I think both teams are in a close enough position that the difference is negligible. I think both teams have incredibly great player as the number one, and they have either an aging or fading supporting cast, and I don't see the pathway for either of those organizations to rejuvenate their supporting players.
My point to that, though, is, and the reason why I argue, is I think Milwaukee has made continuously efforts to do that. The Kyle Kuzma, that's a move to get younger, to get faster, to get better, and all the way down the line. I could go through the moves. Denver hasn't. They've done the opposite. When they've had good guys, they have been reluctant to pay them and let them go.
Now again,
and then on top of that, it's the OKC Boston factor that I bought in.
I will say this though, Denver has been right. Like, Bruce Brown is not what Bruce Brown used to be. Now, granted, he's been in some tough situations.
I was going to say, not tough. He's been in awful.
But KCP, I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, I hope that they find him guilty of his wife betting on under for the parlay, because the way he's shooting the basketball this year.
But that's the thing. Elite role players need to be in elite situations to be elite.
Agree.
Orlando has zero, and I mean zero, playmakers. You know what I mean?
Well, you have Paolo and Franz, but KCP was supposed to spread the floor and hit shot, and he just hadn't done
that. How can you spread the floor when nobody's giving you elite passes?
Yeah, I don't think either one of those guys really do much to make plays for others.
You got what's our guy with the Lakers? Dorian Finney-Smith. He says, "Man, I'm butt ass naked open."
Yeah.
I'm butt ass naked open. KCP is not butt ass naked open like he was in Denver.
I don't think
with Jokic passing on the ball.
I don't think Franz or Paolo do a real good job of making the
game. And Bruce Brown in Toronto, that's a joke. That is a joke.
Yeah. No, I just.
Well, he's in New Orleans.
I know now,
which is
but
even
I'm talking about
he
first went to Toronto.
At the end of the day, I don't think either one of those teams are legitimate contenders to win this year.
Yeah.
And I don't see them being better contenders in the next couple of years.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Boston is still here. That's a fair point. Now,
and when you say, like, OKC is really there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're young, they're talented, and I just think the potential for other teams to kind of rise up into contention is greater than those guys kind of rejuvenating a level of contention.
No, for sure. Once again, you guys are still on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. We're available on all, and I do mean all podcast streaming platforms, including on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff.